Welcome to the part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, first go watch that. And in last part we show that Jean Y is actually a girl, not a boy. Scene opens in the dead of night. Tomorrow is supposed to be Cheol-su's monumental first day as an official disciple of the joint sect, but he is tossing and turning in bed, completely unable to sleep. Why? Because his mind is racing in absolute panic over his new senior, that bastard Jean Y. We flash back to half a day ago. Jean Y was kindly showing Cheol-su around the sect's ruin grounds. Cheol-su politely asked his senior not to approach him so suddenly because he is a bit shy. Jean Y, try to be a good older brother, suggested they go together, and suddenly threw a friendly arm around Cheol-su's shoulders. To a normal person, this is just brotherly bonding. But to Cheol-su, he screamed at the top of his lungs and violently shrank back. In his mind, he strictly vows to only do shoulder hugs or embraces with the most beautiful women, utterly terrified that he almost lost his 50 years of hard-earned chastity in a single instant. Back in his bed, Cheol-su deeply analyzes his incredibly handsome senior. He knows that Jean Y is a genius among geniuses, a prodigy who will rebuild the joint sect without batting an eye. But there is one glaring detail. Despite having the looks, character, and abilities to make women all over the martial world go crazy for him, Jean Y treats women like absolute stones. People always said Jean Y simply valued martial arts over women. But having faced him directly, Cheol-su comes to a hilariously wrong conclusion. Jean Y is definitely gay, he screams internally. Cheol-su remembers his dark past as a eunuch, recalling that some men who had their front snipped but their back part left intact ended up pioneering a whole new path for sexual desire. Horrified, Cheol-su declares that he is not gay. He looks down his pants and notes that his little buddy is looking gloomy today. He decides that his daily Kegel exercises aren't enough anymore. It is time to start jelking exercises for maximum enlargement. He vows to become the ultimate stamina king and refuses to give Jean Y his ass to use. Meanwhile, Jean Y is completely oblivious to this crazy misunderstanding. He feels terrible for startling his new junior and just innocently wants to become close enough to embrace each other like true brothers. The next morning, Cheol-su is already hard at work cleaning the painfully poor, dilapidated kitchen. Even though it's grueling work, he knows he needs to make a flawless impression on the master and his senior if he wants to become a famous hero. So he puts his all into scrubbing rice and vegetables, all while making sure to continually practice his secret Kegel exercises. Suddenly, the door violently bursts open. Bam! Jean Y runs in, yelling, "Junior, what are you doing in the kitchen right now?" Cheol-su screams in terror, but Jean Y is just amazed that the young boy prepared breakfast all by himself. Looking at Jean Y's glowing, flawless face, Cheol-su is painfully jealous, thinking that if he looked even half as good as his senior, he wouldn't have to suffer like this. Jean Y warmly offers to help wash the vegetables, feeling a strong sense of camaraderie since they are both orphans. Cheol-su is confused by this kindness until he remembers a crucial detail from the future. The legendary Jean Y originally had a sister, a beauty who would one day be called the best in the world. Since that sister won't appear for a long time, Cheol-su figures he is just filling in as Jean Y's only peer right now and decides to play along. Cheol-su tells Jean Y to supervise while he fetches fresh water. As he walks away, Cheol-su solidifies his ultimate master plan. He absolutely will not get close to Jean Y. Instead, he's going to strictly use the name of his famous senior to build his own clout. He plans to use Jean Y's legendary reputation to seduce every beautiful woman in the martial world, making them deeply infatuated with his charm through repeated conquests. Lost in his fantasy of a rosy future where he just has to keep his but safe from his supposedly gay senior, Cheol-su stops paying attention to his surroundings. Suddenly, the old wooden structure beneath him gives way with a loud crack. Cheol-su falls backward, dropping his bucket. "Junior, that's dangerous!" Jean Y screams, diving in to save him. Cheol-su braces for impact, but instead, he opens his eyes to find himself perfectly caught mid-air in a romantic, princess-style hold. Jean Y looks down at him with gorgeous, sparkling eyes and gently says, "Are you okay? You are lighter than you look." Despite Cheol-su's absolute terror of losing his manhood to a man, his heart violently betrays him, aggressively pounding as he stares into the blindingly beautiful face of the disguised female genius. Cheol-su is momentarily hypnotized by the sweet scent of wildflowers radiating from his senior. But then disaster strikes. Jinwei accidentally grips Cheol-su a little too closely around the chest and ribs. Cheol-su's survival instincts violently kick in. Convinced that his senior is into men, Cheol-su violently shoves him away, screaming, "Where are you touching, senior brother?" Jinwei is completely flustered. He waves his hands frantically, apologizing and begging Cheol-su not to misunderstand, swearing he wasn't trying to pull any funny business. But Jinwei's face is bright red, which only makes Cheol-su panic even more. "Misunderstand what exactly?" Cheol-su yells back. "Stop blushing. You're making the situation even weirder." Feeling terribly guilty, Jinwei offers to finish preparing the meal so the shocked Cheol-su can go rest. But Cheol-su completely misreads the situation. He thinks this is a trap. Is he trying to assassinate me, or what? Cheol-su thinks. He knows that if the master catches a junior making a senior do all the chores, he will be severely punished for breaking the sex hierarchy. Cheol-su firmly rejects the offer, declaring that as the youngest, he will handle all the trivial tasks from now on. Seeing Cheol-su's stubbornness, Jinwei just smiles softly and agrees. Fast forward 2 months later. Cheol-su is at the Grand Martial Hall, flawlessly holding a grueling horse stance. Sect leader John Young is teaching him that true strength doesn't come from just eating elixirs or wildly swinging fists, but from a perfect balance of inner and outer forces. After warning Cheol-su never to take shortcuts, the master leaves to go check on Jinwei. The moment the master leaves, Cheol-su flexes his growing muscles with an arrogant smirk. He has absolutely no intention of slacking off, because he knows a superior body equals superior vitality. He proudly thinks to himself, "What's the point of a scrawny guy having a big thing?" He vows that all this sweaty hardship is perfectly worth it if it prepares him for the ultimate art of intimacy. He compares himself to a gym junkie lifting heavier weights, thrilled that his daily training is finally showing results. He remembers how in his past life, his cursed eunuch body always felt weak and androgynous, no matter how hard he trained. Thinking about his wasted past makes his blood boil. With burning determination, he promises himself that this time he will live the life of a true, unstoppable alpha male. However, Cheol-su's impatience gets the better of him. He wants to complete his physique as a lustful warrior immediately, but time is moving too slowly. Late at night, while everyone is sleeping, Cheol-su sneaks out into the mountains. He knows that to never get tired in the pleasure gardens and to guarantee maximum blood flow to his equipment, he needs elite cardiovascular endurance. The master strictly forbade overtraining to protect Cheol-su's young body, but Cheol-su refuses to give up his secret night runs. As he sprints through the dark forest, panting heavily, a voice suddenly cuts through the night. "Wait!" Cheol-su freezes. It's Jinwei. Jinwei scolds him for sneaking out of the pavilion to do extra training, warning him that pushing past his limits is harmful. Cheol-su curses internally. If Jinwei tells the master, his night runs will be banned, which means a massive crisis for his future vitality. To save his precious stamina training, Cheol-su decides to manipulate his senior's kind heart. He drops his head, looking utterly pathetic, and delivers an Oscar-worthy sob story. "You and I are different," Cheol-su says pitifully. He claims that while Jinwei is a genius who grasps 10 concepts instantly, Cheol-su is a fool who forgets everything he's taught. Forcing tears to his eyes, Cheol-su cries that he hates being left behind, terrified of being cast out to wander the streets. He tells Jinwei that if he doesn't grind himself to the absolute bone, he won't even be fit to stand beside his senior. Seeing Jinwei stepping closer, Cheol-su squeezes out even more fake tears, sobbing, "I don't want to be cast out." Jinwei completely falls for the act. Deeply moved and feeling terrible for his junior, Jinwei violently lunges forward and wraps Cheol-su in a massive, crushing hug. "I didn't know you were struggling with that. I'm sorry, junior brother," Jinwei says emotionally. But Cheol-soo is absolutely suffocating. Let go. Let go, you crazy bastard. Do you have steel bars in your arms? He screams internally as his ribs are crushed. He is utterly devastated, crying over the fact that his very first hug after 50 years of chastity was stolen by a man, rather than a breathtaking beauty. But then, as his face is squished tightly against Jinhwa's chest, Cheol-soo suddenly freezes. His eyes go completely wide in pure shock. He realizes that the chest he is pressed against doesn't feel like a man's hard muscles at all. Squishy. Cheol-soo thinks, his mind completely blown. Now that's it for today. If you want part 3, just comment part 3. I will drop it as soon as possible.